Hi everyone, it's Diane coming to you from Texas. It's Lucky Gardenia Dashboard Confessional, and this is take 4. I think I forgot, I was into it, but I forgot to say Elvis was in the building, and you know that's my kind of Kickstarter, so I had to back it up and redo it. Anyway, I'm here and don't have the car running with the air conditioner. It is somewhat a little stuffy in here, so this will be brief. And I don't know that I have anything that interesting to talk about, but I did think about a couple things, so I'll try to just get this nailed out. But Elvis is in the building. It is a beautiful spring day here in Texas. It probably will be in the 70s, and you know, as I got out of the car to go get my hair cut, you just hear the birds sing. It just makes you want to go take a hike somewhere, have a picnic. It's just really gorgeous. It's Texas springtime. I saw some bluebonnets on the highway. Enough so you'll start seeing people, you know, pulled off to the side taking pictures. And you know, bluebonnets, I don't know if that's our state flower, but it should be. But Lady Bird Johnson, I believe, set up some type of, I don't know if it's a program or whatever, but to beautify Texas and spread wildflowers across the state. But, and you know, that's where I got my grandma name, Birdie. Lady Bird Johnson's nickname was Birdie. And I always just thought that was really cool. So, yep, I'm Birdie. And let me see what I have to share with you. Have not been doing anything really exciting. I've been, let's see, cricket. And I think Debbie, maybe you do some cross stitch. And there was somebody else that watches that says they cross stitch also, but I actually have been cross stitching, and I'm still working on the abstract pug pattern that I have. And I worked last night so I'd have something higher than what I had, you know, number of stitches that I had actually completed, and I think I'm up to 1,200. And I mean, this pattern is like 6 pages or more, and I've done 12 squares. 12. It's broken down. Anyone that hasn't seen a cross stitch pattern, it's broken down into squares, and they're 10 by 20. So when you're doing these highly dense, full cover pieces, which means that there's a stitch in every square of the piece of fabric that you're working, it's a way for you to know where you're going with the pattern. And from what I've determined, it's the easiest for me to do. I used to be able to just do patterns and be able to count the squares and just no problem, but that is just not fun for me. So it's really come down to just knowing myself and doing. I may never finish this. I mean, this is going to be probably 11 by 17, something like that. You know, but it's more about the process, and I'm really enjoying it. At the end of the night, either listening to an audiobook or watching some TV. And I can't watch, you know, my faves are, especially during pandemic, I've been watching lots of Korean TV or Japanese or Chinese, and it's all with subtitles, and you can't be stitching it and trying to keep up with a program that you don't speak the language and reading subtitles. So there have been some good programs that have been released. I started watching Slow Horses. There's also one with Jane Seymour called Harry Wild. She's she's in her 70s, guys, and boy, she looks great. She's a retired professor of literature that becomes not her husband. Her son is a head of detectives, or he is a detective, and she ends up with her knowledge of literature and books, and these cases, of course, they're wrapped around some type of theme. She's able, with this little sidekick that's, quirky guy that's her sidekick, that kind of adds to the fun of the show. So watching that. God, what else? American Idol. I am watching American Idol, and there are some people that I'm really rooting for already. There's a construction worker named Noah. He's probably the favorite of all the guys that are singing. There's quite a few girls that are singing that I really like. I like Allegra, I think is her name, and Sage. And there's a couple others, but those are the two that come to mind. And so I've been watching that. And then I in years before, Clark Beckham was one of my favorite. And I think one of the songs that he sang on the show that I just love, and I think it's just a really sexy song, is Earned It. And turns out he has a podcast and also a YouTube channel, and where he's giving you kind of his take on their performances, what he thinks of the critiques, behind the scenes. He knows the inner workings of the idol process. And then if you join his, I don't know if it's on Patreon or what it's through, but like $5 a month, you can actually watch him while you're watching the show, and people can chat among themselves, and he can, during the commercials, and so it's a more interactive process. So $5 a month, and you could probably drop out after the season's over. So I think that sounds well worth it. That sounds really fun. But totally enjoying his aspect on the music side of it, and he knows music. He's not just someone that's just naturally good. He really knows the ins and outs of music and singing and the idol process. So kind of a unique purview into what you're watching. So let me think about Easter is just around the corner. I have been pulling together some things for little Miss Isabel, my granddaughter, and last year I got her a little book on Peter Rabbit, and I thought, what can I get her, because she's not really eating candy. I got her some sidewalk chalk. She loves being outside and playing with that. So, and it's washable. I guess they can get the hose off and brush it off. Not that they care. It's all good. So I got her some of that. It had some fun colors, and then a really cute kind of a woven kind of cloth basket that Robin can use for toys or keeping something as a container. Of course, a little bunny rabbit. And then I found I thought, finger puppets would be fun. And I found a seller on Etsy that sells knitted finger puppets. And I bought just Peter Rabbit. And I thought that would be cute to go along with the book that I gave last year. And then found two other books yesterday. One is, it's Disney, but it's all 5-minute bedtime stories based on Disney. And I think they have the Disney Channel, so that may, as she gets older, may be fun. And then also one on Beatrix Potter's, all her stories, 5-minute stories. So I don't know if she's quite up to these type of stories, but in the future. And then I found this really cute Minnie Mouse it's kind of like a pillow, but it's a stuffed animal, really kind of soft. Anyway, it was just fun, and it had like an Easter egg on the front. So, and then some clothes. And some sunglasses. And I had to choose between Barbie sunglasses and Little Princesses from Disney, and I went with, I was really wanting to do the Barbie, but they looked a little bigger, so I got the Disney princesses, pink. And I think it's in a heart shape. And I remember we were at the zoo and she really needed some sunglasses. And it says 3 and up, but I figure Robin and Carlos can gauge that. She's never left without supervision, so it's not like it's going to be dangerous for her or anything. So plan to see all of them during this weekend coming up. Let's see. What else is going on? Been cooking some recipes out of my mom's cookbook. You know how I kind of go on just days and days of eating the same meal, and then I'll finally get just tired of it. Got through the spaghetti stage, guys. And then I was kind of craving my mom's recipe out of the cookbook. It's not my mom's recipe. It was Shirley Boone, who was her famous husband. I can't think of his name, but anyway, it is got stewed tomatoes in it, and it calls for kidney beans, and I hate kidney beans, so I put chili beans in there, which by Bush, just kind of a seasoned pinto bean, onion, garlic. It has cumin, and I actually throw in some McCormick taco mix that's low sodium, onion, and then I put some tomato sauce in there, and I think that's it. And you can serve it over rice, but I've been making spaghetti, and lo and behold, I don't like really thin spaghetti. I like thicker spaghetti. And actually Walmart has they have a thin spaghetti, but they also have one that just says spaghetti, but it's really just the right size for me. So into the Shirley Boone chili, and that I'll probably, after this week, be kind of tired of that. We'll be on to the next thing. And what else was I going to share with you? I told you this is going to be short because I don't even have an outfit of the day to brag about. I have on a Mickey Mouse t-shirt and yoga pants. And orange Converse. Just to spice it up a little bit. Oh, this is random. Just a random thing that at the age of, my birthday's in a week and a couple of days, I'll be 63, but I had never heard this before, that I think it was an author, her book was coming out, but they were talking about how with hardbound books, to break in a book, and I had never heard that. And what you do is you open up the spine and you take a couple of pages from the front, and then you kind of push down, then you go to the back and fold over, push over a couple pages, kind of crease it down, and you do that back and forth, and that way you won't have pages that separate from the binding. And I'm like, I had never in my whole life heard of anything like that. So just passing on a tip. It just floors me when, you've been around on this earth for so long and you just learn something that's pretty basic, but I'd never heard it before. Oh, and the other thing, I'm going to tell you something that's really stupid that I did, but I'm usually sleeping, my sleep schedule is so wacky. I'm usually going to sleep 7 in the morning and then waking up and late in the afternoon. Well, I had to stay up for a delivery, and I only had a couple hours sleep, but I thought I had to sign for this package. So I had to stay towards the front of the apartment so I'd hear the knock. I waited. It was said like between 9:45 and 11:45, come and go. It was past 7. And throughout the day, I kept on going to the door just to make sure it wasn't dropped off. I'm sweating, guys. It's getting hot. And lo and behold, after 7, I go, and there it is. I didn't have to sign for it after all. So I had limited myself to one area of my apartment waiting for this package, and it really didn't matter at all. I didn't have design for it. But anyway, it was just kind of funny. But it got delivered safely and I got it, so all's well. But anyhow, so that night, going to the moral of the story, I woke up and I was totally turned around. I'm thinking it was like 6:30, and I thought it was at 6:30 at night, and I thought there was a prescription I was out of that I have to have every day. So I throw on clothes, I get over to Walmart, I'm walking in, I'm looking at the parking lot, it's just empty. I'm like, there could be some bad weather coming in. We had some bad weather last week, and it did look kind of funny in the sky. I'm like, did everybody run home because there's a bad storm coming? And I go, and the pharmacy's not open. And I ended up asking one of the workers there, I'm like, why is the pharmacy not open? They're like, we'll be open at 9. And here, I got there before 7. And then I realized I was there way too early in the morning for it to be open. And it's like, okay, I'm here. I'm going to do my shopping. I'm going to have to really draw this out because I don't want to have to go home and come back. So I did. I dragged it out and I did self-checkout just to slow it down. And so I got in there. I was the first person in line for the pharmacy. And there's a new pharmacist, and she's really kind. And she always looks at, is it cheaper GoodRx or your insurance? And, where most of them just ring it up and they're not going to, customer not in mind. They're just going to ring it up and, move on to the next. But, she's helped me repeatedly and very nice. And she was saying, had I had all my vaccination, and she was pointing to this chart, and she pointed to shingles. And I think after you're 50 or 55, they recommend it. But I had remembered back when I got my flu shot, I think it was at Target years back, shingle shots were like $700 if your insurance didn't cover it. And I'm like, my sister had said, you really need to get this vaccine. And since the pharmacist mentioned it, I'm like, I really doubt that my insurance covers it, but if they did, I would get it. So she ran back there and checked on my insurance, and sure enough, oh, here comes the postman, guys. This always happens. But sure enough, it covered. And it's like, I know I need to get this because I know it's horrible. It is painful, and it can last for months, and it probably resides in your body and comes back. And she's like, you really need to get this. He just zipped right on past me. Well, I guess he didn't have any mail for them, so no problem. She's like, you really need to get this before you go on Medicare at 65 because they won't pay for it. And it's like, who knows what insurance I'll be on next year. If it's covered, sign me up. So I got it, and so far I don't know that there's any major side effects other than a sore arm or a headache. So far so good. And then I'll go back in 2 months, 2 to 6 months, I think she said, to get the second. And then it's, you get it. I guess it's like a polio shot or smallpox. Once you've had the vaccine for this disease, you're covered. So I got that done. Oh, one other thing. I did my taxes. And, it's one of those things that was on my list. I need to do this. I was waiting for one form, and ended up, I don't think it's anything that I would need to pay taxes on due to inheritance laws in Texas. And so I talked to my older sister, and brother-in-law, and they had already filed their taxes, and I thought, okay, I checked with the trustee of the estate, and come to find out they figured it wasn't taxable, and it's like, okay, I'm just going to roll the dice. I need to get this done. And my computer is not new, and just all these difficulty factors. It just makes the process just something that I wasn't looking forward to doing is because it wasn't that simplistic as it had been in the past. And I had the health care coverage part of the year and just some different factors. But I use H&R Block, and it seems like their programs have gotten easier, a little bit more expensive. But so I was up like, I think it was like 1 in the morning. I'm like, I'm just going to get started on this. Time is running out. This is one thing I can get done and reduce my stress level and get it off my plate. So a couple of hours goes by, and last year I had my brother-in-law on the phone walking me through it. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to get it started, and if I can't do it, I'll get my brother-in-law on the phone the next day. Well, I actually completed it, and I owed money. I knew I had to pay money in, which it was about $5,000, and it was like, the ways that you can pay, and they had one that diverted you, and it was like to an outside system, and I really didn't trust that, providing my financial information to this outside source. But through H&R Block, there was a way that I could do it, just direct routing out of my checking account. So I submitted my completed taxes on Sunday, early Sunday morning. I got the text alert that my form had been accepted. So I'm like, okay, I'm through one gate. They didn't kick it out right off the bat for something being wrong. And so I had transferred money into my checking and wasn't sure how long it'd take for them to actually go through my tax form. Monday, the money was still there. Yesterday or Tuesday, they had gotten it. So it's like, okay, they've already run my taxes. I must have done it right. And just glad to have, it was something on my planner that I could mark it off, done. Do you ever do that? Just make a to-do list just so you can check it off? I think, Cricket, you're a journalist. You like journals and planners. One quirky thing about myself is if I get into something, I totally jump in 100%. I want all the things, like watercolors or fountain pens. I love fountain pens. I love planners. I love ukuleles, and I have a lot of them. But what is the good side of it is, my interest will kind of cycle through. And I looked at my fountain pens the other day, and I have some several Lammies, and then some Noodlers. Noodlers make ink and pens, and I started using them, and there was one that I actually had purchased. It was neither one of those brands. It's called, I think it's ROTHING Art Pen, and it is a fountain pen, extra fine tip. I think I got it found it on Amazon. And I have like this carbon black ink from Japan, and I think it's waterproof. And all I can say is the nib on this pen just flows. So I've been getting at one of the journals from a long time ago that I love, from Chic Sparrow, and it's a really nice leather. It's kind of really rich brown, but it shows it's a leather that will scratch, but it looks just like antique, and it looks used and loved, and worn. I just love it. It's probably one of my favorite planners that is kind of like it's not a binder, it is a traveler's notebook type of planner holder, but I buy the, God, what is it, moleskins, hard covered moleskins that I put in there. And they really take the pen well. And I've been journaling a lot, trying to get everything out on paper and relieve as a stress reliever. So I'm doing better about that. So I'm got the pens back out, using them, different fun color inks. There's some newer color called Apache that is orange. There's also habanero, I think, is really fun. They have one that's called Desert Heart. They've got some really cool, you can get it on Amazon. And some of the inks, they also will send you a relatively cheap fountain pen. So if you don't want to invest a lot of money, but try it out, it's a fun way to test it. But there's just something about writing with a really good fountain pen. And all my journal people, if there are anyone that's out there watching, what kind of pen do you like to use? And also came across a planner that is actually a 3 or 6 ring binder, and it's made out of buffalo hide, and it's really thick, and it's got the back where there's a really big kind of opening so you can put bigger piece of paper in there. And God, I'm gonna not say the name of it. It's Vander something. Not Vanderspec, but it's from where is it from? Not the Netherlands, but maybe it is the Netherlands. And I had bought this other cheap binder. I think I saw it at Michael's or Joann's, but they had really good graphic paper and tabs and everything. Come to find out, it's a 6-ring size, and it will fit directly in my black buffalo hide 6-ring A5 binder. So as much as I probably overbuy on certain things and kind of go in and out with my interest, I do go back to them. So it's not like I totally am throwing money away. It's money I've earned and 0 credit. And I paid everything off. So it's like, and I am weeding things out, and I'm letting things go to the thrift stores and some art stuff that I no longer use, or craft kits, or just different things. And but I think what I've learned is, my interests like quilting or art quilts or sewing art quilts, cross stitch, watercolors. I think I told you I signed up for a really reduced price by month Jean Hines artistic, you can watch her art videos, and she has a really distinctive style, and you can see a little bit of her style on YouTube. And it's a subscription that you can cancel, so I like that, where you're not like locked into it for a year. And I had canceled some type of subscriptions just to make up the difference. But the way she does it, she has like a tabletop easel, not metal, but it was wooden. And she does some things where the paper is wet, and then she'll loaded up a paintbrush, and then she'll let it flow down the paper. And of course, at the end of the easel, it's got like a little railing, so it's not going on your table. So I was able to find not the quality that she has, but found one on Amazon for like $20-something. And I'm like, okay, now I can sit down and take one of her courses and see if I like it or not. But anyway, that's what I've been up to. Oh, one more thing popped in my brain. Sorry, guys. I think I've told you, during the pandemic, sheltering in place, that I've gotten into watching cowboy podcasts or shows on YouTube, the football games and the draft, which I've never watched before. And there is a YouTuber out of, I think, really close to the DC. I don't know if he's in Virginia or Maryland. But he grew up, his father was a cowboy fan, and he's really grown as a YouTube channel. He has all these different screens on a game day with covering, different important games. And I think he's kind of gotten addicted to making these videos because he's doing them all the time, and he's made some other channels. He's on keto. He's a good cook, so he's keto cooking, and then also he does carpentry and does some, not only house carpentry like remodeling houses, but he does things that are sports related, like his take on the Lombardi Trophy, or just different. You would have to check out his channel, but and relatively reasonable prices. But in his area, they were having a football focused fan day where they were flying in different players for kind of like a meet and greet where the fans could pay and get a picture with the sports icon or get a autograph. And he had this idea that Dak was going to be there, and he's a Dak fan, and cowboy fans, you're either a pro Dak or not a Dak fan, and I'm 100% Dak fan. Just, he's a really great man. He loved his mother. She passed away from cancer, and he created a foundation that has to do with, I think, cancer related, in honor of his mom. And it's Faith Fast Finish or something. There's 3 F's. And Mark had this idea that he bought this really new groovy piece of wood workshop equipment that's very pricey, but it can do programmed in, like a photo, and it will etch it out. And he did a picture of Dak, and on the back, well, what he decided would really be fun is for fans of the Cowboys who wanted to could donate to GoFundMe for the Cancer Society. And it would be for Dak's charity. And that Mark would be able to give him the check at this event, which was a couple weeks ago on a Friday or Saturday. And he was thinking maybe people, $1,000, $2,000 at the most. Well, he raised over $5,000, and he then thought, he was so jazzed about it, that he was going to engrave all the names of the people that had donated. Well, he was up late at night before the event that Saturday, and his machine conked out, and he got down. It was going to be like 3 rows of etching in all the people that had donated. Well, it got through the first row and just barely a fourth of the second row, and it kind of went wackadoodle. So he was just beside himself. It was like down to the wire. He had to put varnish on this piece and have it dry, and he had to be at the event at like 11 in the morning. And so what he decided to do, they had one of those big check pre-made printed things, and Mark was able to and some of his family and Cowboy fans were able to present it to Dak, which he was very excited about. And then he showed him the plaque, and then he showed him on the back the names. He told him the story about how it had gotten down the wire and, his machine wouldn't work. And he'd only gotten so many of the names on there. And what Dak, being the guy he is, he said that he really wanted the plaque with all the names of all the people that had contributed to the fund. And so what they did is Mark took it back and he said, okay, I'll get it done. I'll fix the machine. And he got the address and he's sending it to Dak. And so we got the update. And what was going through my mind, because Dak was holding this plaque and looking at the names, I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if my name had been on there? So I'm looking at the screen to see if, I don't know if they're going by first names or last names. And I'm like, there's a chance, I'm a D. I think he was going by first names, that maybe my name was on that first row. And lo and behold, he did show us the finished project, piece that came out really well. And he was shipping it off, and he did a close-up, and I could see where my name hit. And sure enough, it was on that first plaque that he saw and handled. And I don't know, that just made me happy. But Mark did a really great job, and just he's opinionated at times, and I don't always agree with his take on things, but he is such a giving man and puts in wholehearted for everything he does, and a lot of effort and time. Anyway, he got it sent off, and it was just amazing. And just to be a part of something like that as a fan base, to give back. And to know that, for Dak to know that there are fans that care and support him. Anyway, I think that is it. Nothing else is popping up in my head, but I hope you all are doing well. I know across the country we've had some bad weather. We had tornadoes here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. It hit, I don't know where it hit, but I mean, Hazel and I were in the bathroom when this thing was going over, and you think about what's your essentials, and I had my light for if we lost electricity that ran on batteries, and then I had my purse. Worst case scenario, I need my purse. But all was well, and the hail didn't hit, and fingers crossed, because we get some really hefty storms, hail, and tornadoes. Kind of tornado alley here. So praying for everyone across the country with all this kind of wacky weather, and hope your family is well and happy. And happy Easter to those that are celebrating. And if not, happy spring. Let me know what you're up to. What fun things are you doing? Are you any cross stitchers out there that just drop me a comment, just a hi. It'd make me happy. Anyway, love you guys, and let me see if I can hit this button. Peace out.